Yo, what's up guys? It's Rick here. I'll be making my first video on Green Purple Limb. I've been ranked 1 to 5 for most of this ranked season, mostly playing Limb. I recently won the Trinoy's Mihawk tournament with Limb. In this video I will go over the lists in detail, then I will go over different opening hands and how to play them. Finally, I will show some accelerated ranked gameplay. Alright, on to the list. Alright, here's the list. After a lot of testing, I'm pretty confident with this list into all matchups. I'll just go through each card in order and say what they do and how they are used. Feel free to skip around to cards you are less familiar with. So first up, we have Lim. She has a restriction that says your characters enter play as rested. Her ability is you may rest 3 of your Dawn, set up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as rested, then play a cost of 5 or lower Odyssey type character from your hand. So this is the main thing that this deck is based around, as we have many Odysseys that are less than 5 cost. And a lot of them have good effects, especially when they're played for only 3 Dawn. And they're also summoned while also allowing you to gain a Dawn rested as well. Next up, we have Scratchman Apu. He's a 2k counter, 1 cost with the 1000 power, and his effect is you may rest up to one of your opponent's characters with 2 costs or less. Basically, he's just another 1 cost 2k counter that can be used to rest opponent's 2 costs or less, which can come up when going second. So yeah. And next up we have Sakazuki. He's a 6 cost with 7000 power, with the ability of if you have 2 or more rested characters in play, KO up to one of your opponent's cost 5 or lower characters. This character is very strong for this deck, as you usually want to play this whenever they play a 5 or 4 cost that you don't want on the board anymore. And since you ramp, you can play this on your on your 3rd turn, or on your 4th turn is really nice too, because you can play Odyssey in this card. And so like your ramp, when you're going first, normally go 1, 3, 6, 9, or if you play a Sakazuki on 6, then it'll be 8, but if you don't play Sakazuki on 6, then with 9 you can play this and an Odyssey, which can be a really nice tempo because your opponent will be on 6 Dawn if they're not a purple deck. And so most decks don't play 6 Dawn card. Most decks usually play like 5 or less, because 6 cost cards are not very common. And so you can like take all of their momentum if you just kill their 5 cost or less card. And next up we have Sabo. He's a 5 cost, 6000 power character with 1k counter, and his ability is when attacking once per turn, if you have 3 or more rested characters in play, draw 1 card. This card is really nice going first or second, but on your 2nd turn, he's like your best starter, especially with 1 cost Limb. He doesn't really work too much with Roux, but we'll go over that later. And he's also really nice with Blast Breath, but we'll also go over that later. Tofi is a 5 cost, 6000 power, with 1k counter. He's a blocker, and he has the ability of end of your turn, you can restand it as active. It's just a really solid card, the 1 blocker in the deck, that you can do some nice things because he's one of the few cards that you can restand by itself, which is really important because Limb's restriction makes all your characters go and play rested, and so that's a big weakness, and he can help deal with that weakness. Next up we have 3 cost Limb. She has 5000 power. Her ability is look at top 5, reveal up to 1 Odyssey type character other than Limb, and then put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. End of your turn, if you have 3 or more rested characters, you can also restand it. This character is really nice because it's a searcher, but also has good stats for a 3 cost, and fits really nicely in curve because on your third turn, you'll have 6 down, so you can play this card and their Odyssey. And the cool thing is, if you play the card on an Odyssey on your last turn, you'll have 3 characters, and so they'll only be able to attack into 6,000 bodies, because this card restands itself. And next up, we have Edward Newgate. He's 6,000 power, 5 costs, with 1k counter. His ability is on play. If you have 2 or more rested characters, rest up to one of your opponent's characters of 5 costs or less, then KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters 3 costs or less. This card is really nice, because it's just another removal card, and then also you can use it to rest at 5 costs if it has weaker stats to attack into. Or you can use it when going for game, or like you want to kill a specific card on the board to rest a character that's like a blocker. And it's also really nice because if you're on the second curve, you'll be at 4 Dawn on your second turn, and your opponent will be on 3 Dawn if second turn, so they'll most likely play 3 costs if they do anything. And so this can just kill the first 3 costs they play, which is really nice. Next up we have Anel, one of the best cards in the deck. He's 5 costs, 6,000 power, 1k counter. On play, if you have 2 more risk characters, drop 3 cards and discard 2 cards from your hand. Pretty insane ability. It's like Graceful Charity in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you draw 3 cards and trash 2. And it's really nice because you get to fix your hand, and you get to play a 5/6 body for 3 with Leer ability. So it's really nice tempo, and you get to fix your hand to see your better Odysseys, and it replaces itself, so you get to keep your hand size. And this one, probably my favorite Odyssey, and the best Odyssey, is 5 costs Mihawk. Yes, he's 5 costs, 6,000 power, 1k counter. His ability is on play if you have 2 or more rested characters, except one of your cost 5 or lower rested Odyssey type characters is active. So Mihawk is really strong because he can be used in a lot of ways. One way is obviously you can restand your Odyssey cards to do big attacks, so you can attach a bunch of Dawn to one of your 5 cost Odysseys, and then play this card for 3, and then attack again with the character. So like if you're at 10 Dawn, you can attach 7 Dawn to one of your Odysseys and swing 13 twice. And obviously at 9 Dawn, that would be 12 twice. I like to honestly swing 9 twice, depending on what is happening on the board. But it'll also be used to restand itself early if you just like play a 1 cost, and then you like don't want your opponent to attack into your characters because normally be rested. You can just restand it itself, which is really important versus red because they can get free value just because your first character is rested. And yeah, it's also just like really nice tempo even if you don't attach a bunch of Dawn to one of your Odyssey characters. It's like basically the same thing as a rush character, except for if you attach Dawn, it's even stronger than a rush character. So yeah. Then we have 2 cost Nami. She's 2k counter, 2,000 power. Her ability is if you have 2 or more rested Odyssey type characters up to one of your opponent's rested, Dawn will not become active during your opponent's next refresh phase. So I like this card as my Odyssey 2k counter of choice for a few reasons. One is because the ability is actually kind of nice if it's like a deck that really wants to have a certain card on their curve on a certain time, like versus like Shanks on their 7 Dawn. It's like the first time you're like actually ever caring about what they're gonna play, because they'll play Beckman usually. And so if you're on the go second curve, you can just play Nami, and then they have another turn of probably playing not good cards because they're only playing good 6 costs. And then versus Usopp, they also really want to play on their 7 Dawn turn. And then versus any deck that really likes their 10 costs, it can also be good. And 1 cost Slim, also one of the cards that really helped this deck that came in OP 10. She's a 1 cost, 0 counter, or not, 1 cost, 0 power, 1k counter. If this character were to be removed from the board by one of your opponent's specs, you may instead rest one of your Odyssey characters, and that does include herself, so she can rest herself or another Odyssey character to protect herself from any removal, which is kind of crazy. Only be used once per turn though. And at the end of the turn, you may set up to one of your Odyssey type characters as active. This ability is also pretty crazy because you can play this out on your first turn, she can restand herself, and then on next turn you can play out another Odyssey, and then you can restand them. And so you can just keep doing that process of restanding in Odyssey. And what's really cool is that she's like one of the few ones that say you only need, like, you don't need a requirement to restand, whereas like Mihawk need 2 characters on board and Lim needs 3 characters on board. So if you really wanted to, with the combination of these cards, you can just make sure that none of your cards are rested, just by making sure that using her ability lasts to restand your Odysseys. And Orochi is the other 1 cost of choice. He's 2000 power, 2k counter. His ability is reveal 1 artificial dove fruit smile from your deck and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So might not have seen this card before, even though it's from OP01. But basically, this card is just a really nice card because in Lim, you kind of need a 1 cost. Really want 1 cost because you need 2 characters on board to use a lot of these abilities. And so early, the best way to get another character on board, or really only way to get another character on board, is to have a 1 cost. And this card, for one, replaces itself by adding this artificial dove fruit smile, which I'm not really going to read because the effect doesn't matter, but you just add it so that you can trash it later with an L. And also it allows you to look through your deck, or not look through your deck, but like add the card directly from your deck. So if you really wanted to, you could see what's in your life by process of elimination, which you don't have to do. And like, I don't do it that often when I'm just playing quick games, because that like takes a decent amount, well, not really too long, but like takes some time to like really pay attention to like what's left in, or what's not in your deck anymore. But that is an option, and but mostly it just replaces itself, because you add this card and you can trash it later with an L, and you really like an L, so a lot of games you're going to find an L because of Lim, and you're going to want to look for it. So and it's also 2k, which is really nice. So yeah. And then Senior Pink, it's 5 cost, 6000 power, not an Odyssey. His ability is Dawn -1, add up to 1 purple event with a cost 5 or less from your trash to your hand. That's up to 1 of your Dawn cards is active. And so he's really just used because he's really a 4 cost, because you play it as a 5 cost, but then you restand 1, which is really nice because if you're going second on your 7 Dawn turn, you can play Odyssey and a 4 cost, but he's like a pseudo 4 cost. And also late game, you can play, when you're at 10 Dawn, you can play an Odyssey, a Lim, and a 4 cost, or yeah, and then there's also everything you can do with your events too. And so he just allows, similar to like Smoker, which I was playing once too, he just makes it, puts another 5 cost buy on board. That's really good tempo, and then he also adds a lot of very good events. And if you really wanted to, you can even add back the Smile event if you know you're going to trash it again with an L. And so one of our good events is Top Knot. It's a 2 cost event. and its ability is -2 Dawn. Return it to one of your opponent's characters. Cost 4 or less to bottom of deck. So bottom deck's a card, and trigger is the same thing. It's really nice because there's a lot of pesky cards like Lucky Roux and Burgess and 4-cost Kuzan for black, and then there's like 3-cost Tishi for green. There's just like a decent amount of cards that have 4 costs and less. Even along back, like sometimes even getting any card, especially if it's like past the point of, or especially when it's like 10 Dawn or 9 Dawn, then you really don't even care that you're minusing Dawn anymore. And so it'll just be value. But sometimes even before you get to 9 or 10 Dawn, if it's like a Burgess or a Lucky Roux, you just want it gone as fast as possible, and this is like the best way to do that. And it can also be added back with Senior Pink, which is really strong because sometimes you'll just want to get rid of a Lucky Roux or another low cost card like that. And the cool thing is, if you're at 10 Dawn, this is -3, but with Leer ability, you'll gain a Dawn back, so you actually don't lose any Dawn, which is really nice. And next up, we have Gamma Knife. It's 2 costs, event. Its ability is Dawn -1, give up to one of your opponent's characters -5,000 power. And trigger up to 1 Dawn from, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. So this card is really nice into green, pretty nice into yellow, not really used into black unless they play Jack, and then it's pretty decent situationally into red and blue, depending on, well actually it can be pretty good into blue if they're playing like a rush card, but otherwise you really just have to wait for them to attack, which sometimes you don't want to do, so it's alright into those colors. But the huge thing is there's like certain big cards, since we're not playing any big cards ourselves, that we just want to minus the power so that we can just easily kill it with our big board. And then we can trash it with an L, and we can grab it out of trash with Senior Pink if we either need to use it twice or we didn't need to use it initially and we wanted it just in our trash just as an option with Senior Pink. And then next, our last card is Blast Breath. Blast Breath is really nice. It's 1 cost counter, -1 Dawn. Your leader gains +4,000. Leader or character gains +4,000 during the spell, basically like a Radical Beam. So the cool thing about this is that obviously late game is good, or if they're going for game is strong, and we can add it back from Senior Pink. But on our going second curve, which this deck is significantly weaker on our going second curve, let's say we just play on a Sabo, like one of our best opening cards. A lot of times people will like try to just swing high into one of our Odysseys because it's rested, but if you're on the second curve, you'll have 4 Dawn, and so you can just use this to usually just counter a bit by itself, and then that really punishes them because you use like 1 card to save your Odyssey, and specifically if it's Sabo, then Sabo will like draw the card back anyways, and the -1 Dawn won't matter that much because you actually like to play on the go first curve, so yeah, it's really nice for that early game and late game, so it really makes Splash Bros actually pretty good in this deck. But yeah, that's the deck profile and explanations, and next up we have the opening hands. Alright, so first up we have the classic. We got the Limb Leader on our side, Zora on their side with 50 Chef can come with us because you know they always see it, and that's what most of these openings will look like. There's Spielem leader with 50 of a card, just to really show off what you would do with like these opening hands and what you're really looking for your opening hands. And so this opening features the 1-cost Lim and really any 5-cost Odyssey and then the 3-cost Lim. So what you want to do here is you just want to play your 1-cost Lim, and then a lot of decks actually won't do anything on 2-down anyways. And then you would play your 5-cost Odyssey, and in most matchups Sabo is the best one here, just because on 2-down usually not going to do anything. And like you don't need to block this first one, so Dofi isn't necessarily better. So yeah, you just end your turn and then resand the Sabo. And then next turn you would go 3-cost Lim and then play a 5-cost Odyssey with leader ability. I would probably grab an L here, but I just want to show off what could happen if you use Dofi. And then you play Dofi, you can swing with Sabo. And then, of course, it's going to draw your card. And the cool thing about this is that since Dofi and Lim restand themselves with their end of turn abilities, you can just restand everything, which is really strong. And so yeah, this is opening 1, featuring 1-cost Lim and 3-cost Lim. On to the next opening. Alright, next up for our second opening, we have the Red Scare. We have Marco on the other side. Of course, we're still playing Lim. And this one is really just because we really don't want to have a rested character into leaders like Marco, Roux, and like Red Smoker, and sometimes even Shanks, because they'll minus-power our characters and then just be able to swing really heavy into them, and we're not going to be able to defend them with counter. And so that would just like, we'd lose our first character for free basically. And so we're just going to play Roux, and then we pass. And like any red deck that like plays Moon Knight here, you're definitely gonna want to play around having a rested character, because even if it's not Marco and they like minus power, on next turn they can swing super hard even with playing a character, and attaching 2-down and minus power to our rested body if we had one. And so with this one, the reason why it's featuring Mihawk is because we could play Dofi obviously, right? And like if we had Dofi in hand, then we'd always play Dofi first. But I just wanted to showcase, like, if we don't have Dofi in hand, but we need to have something or we need it to not be rested, and we don't have 1-cost Lim, then we can just use our Mihawk because it can restand itself. I think that's important to recognize, that you can do this, because it's important to know that, like, even if you don't open 1-cost Lim, as long as you open 1-cost, if you see a Mihawk or a Dofi, you can make sure that you don't have a rested character. So yeah, and yeah, this one's a pretty short opening, but it's just a way to another way to play around having a rested character besides 1-cost Lim and Dofi. So yeah, and on to the next opening. Alright, so next up we have the Lucky Roux. This one we have Shanks with 50 Lucky Roux, and main important card that we have here is Topknot, because Topknot is going to shuffle back the Lucky Roux, and the reason I call it the Lucky Roux is because it's the one time where like almost certainly would always top knot versus any other card, because you can't Sakazuki Lucky Roux. I mean, you could, but you kill your character. And there's not like that many characters that you like 100% would always want to remove it for the cost of 2 Dawn on your 6 Dawn turn. So I'll just, oh, I did not mean to do that. Okay. So I'll just go through these first turns real quick. Ironically, I mean, the only thing that Shanks would play on 2 Dawn anyways would probably be the 1-cost searcher, which they don't even see every time. And then, like, if they attacked, we would just block, so, yeah. In this situation, of course. And then, first thing you want to do here is top knot, so we don't have a chance to kill our Dofi. And then we would swing, and then play an L, and then we ramp 1 Dawn. Actually, I'll just do it to show. That we'll be at 7 Dawn next turn, just for example. And I would swing 6, but that's just an example. And the next turn we'd be at 7 Dawn. And another cool thing that we could do also is that they're playing their Lucky Roux. We could attack with our limb and then rest the Lucky Roux. Well, actually, what we would do is we would attack, right? Actually, probably we don't have to do that first, but and then we could grab back our top knot, resand this, and it's important that we play the senior pink first if we want to do this, so that we have 3 Dawn left instead of the reverse way where we'd play the Newgate first and then we'd only have 4 Dawn left, which is not enough to play senior pink. And then we could play Newgate to rest the Lucky Roux, and then next turn we could top knot the Lucky Roux if we wanted to do that line. But that's just an example. But the main thing is that if they play 1 Lucky Roux on 4 Dawn, that you can top knot the Lucky Roux, and you'll be at 7 Dawn next turn, which is fine because all the cards you play are gonna be well within 7 Dawn. So, and you'll just keep ramping on the following turns too. So, that is opening number 3. On to the next one. Alright, next up we have the Mihawk. This one is featuring Red Purple Luffy and 50 Gum Giants. And we have Lim, Sabo, and the mostly important things Mihawk. And this one's relevant versus Red Purple Luffy and Purple Luffy mostly. It's not bad versus a lot of decks, but mainly versus Red Purple Luffy and Purple Luffy because you want to be really aggressive early. And so, yeah. So you just play a Limb. And then it doesn't really matter which OC we play. For what I'm trying to show here, but Sabo is the best Odyssey in these situations. And so, in this, we mix with limb. Now, of course, you're not going to take all these, but if it was a real opponent. But versus Red Purple Luffy, we would swing 6 and an 8 and an 8. But versus like a 5 constantly, we would swing 7 and 7 7. And we'd also, because we have a Sabo, we attack with this first. This is obviously a lot of tempo versus Red Purple Luffy because they only have 3 life, right? And if we swing 8 twice on their 4-dawn turn, if they don't see like a card that double ramp them on 4-dawn or like a trigger that ramps them, then they're gonna have another turn of either they're gonna have to play like 7-cost Kid, or just another turn of not playing one of their high-end cards. And so it's just really fast tempo and we would get a lot of cards out of hand. And yeah, it really sets us up for our later plays because first Red Purple Luffy, they are too comfortable, they're just going to be able to Gum Giant in the end game, and that will not bode well for us. So, because they always see 3 of them on a bad day. So, yeah. But yeah, that's the Mihawk. On to the next opening. Alright, so next up we have the Dofi. This one I call the Dofi because basically the Dofi protects the Orochi, and for a specific situation where you actually would need the Orochi on board still for next turn. I raised you on your side with 7 Orochi or 7 TGs because you don't want your cards vested versus Reiju, and they find a GG every time somehow. So we just play Orochi, and then we play Dofi. We have to swing with Orochi. And then just say they swing into Reiju, into Orochi. And so basically the reason why you would do this, maybe not even necessarily versus Reiju, but like any deck that just swings 5 into the Orochi, is if you have a reason, because next turn we can go Limb and Dofi, and then if we don't have this extra card, the second Dofi can't restand. And so even if we just play 1 Dofi, we need an extra card. So I'll even just show was just out playing the Limb, because with playing the Limb it's the same thing, but yeah, so we play the second Dofi. We need this Roach, because if we don't have this Orochi, then they can't activate at the same time. You have to activate 1 at a time, so only 1 would restand, and we'd have a rested character. And same thing if we just add the Limb, because we're just gonna activate the Limb first. So yeah. And I'll show this real quick. And so it activates 1 at a time, and so this way they both restand. And yeah, I also could have done this with the Mihawk if I really wanted to not have a character rested, and then just use the Mihawk to restand, and have the Dofi reset with end of turn. But I actually probably would not use Mihawk for that most of the time, and just try to attack with it, or use the effect to attack with one of the characters. But that is the Dofi, and on to the next opening. Alright, so next up we have the Adjusted Classic, and from here on out the openings are going to be going second opening, so we're going to be on opposite sides of the limb, and on this side we have Nami for no particular reason, but it's just Nami playing 50 Namis because why not. And then this one is going to feature one cost limb and Orochi, and really any Odyssey. Well, actually, any Odyssey that has an on play, really, is what we would be looking for here. So, we play our limb. And we wouldn't play Orochi here because it would be rested, and they're on their 3 down turn, so they can actually attack into it. So we can actually play Orochi on their 2 down turn. So we just play one. And then in this situation, we could play our Sabo, but for the Adjusted Classic, it's really just you play the Orochi so that you don't have to swing with your limb to get the on play, and then your Odyssey is still active. So and then you play. Now it would usually be for your Enel or Newgate if you wanted to play those on your 4 down turn, because the cool thing about Newgate is that they just took their 3 down turn, so these mad decks will play 3 costs, and I would consider that being better than Sabo every time. And then Enel can be better than Sabo too if it's like a heavy removal deck that will almost certainly remove or try to remove this 5 cost. So it'd be better if it got value guaranteed. And the cool thing if you Enel, then you can just trash Sabo, or if it's a 1k counter and you have first cards to trash, that's also fine. And so yeah, this is the Adjusted Classic. Mostly just focusing on Orochi being played so that you still have a card on the field so you can activate this on play, but you don't actually have to swing with the limb, so that you still have the limb active and the Odyssey active. And then like if they want to swing into Orochi, that's like honestly fine, because you have enough cards on the field now. So yep, this is the Adjusted Classic. On to the next opening. Alright, so next up we have the Sabo, and over here we have Nika Robin with 50 I Want to Live, because you know she really wants to live. She just really wants to live over here. And then we have Sabo with Blast Breath, and the key cards here are really Blast Breath and Sabo. Really actually doesn't have to be a Sabo, but the key is that going second we can easily defend our Odyssey if they choose to swing high into it with 1 Blast Breath, and then we'll be on the first curve if we minus it down, so we'll be fine with minusing that down. And so, another thing important to notice here is that Orochi is actually not that good with Sabo, or actually not good with Sabo at all. And so but Sabo is fine with Blast Breath because it doesn't matter if he's rested if we have this Blast Breath to protect him. And so it's actually pretty simple, you know, we just play the Sabo, we leave one down up, and then if they choose to swing 8, a lot of times they might choose to swing 8, sometimes they'll choose to swing 10, and then we would toss the Blast Breath and one of our other cards. And so yeah, and then obviously if they swing like 7 into it, then we can also just not toss Blast Breath because we don't have to. So yeah. That's opening 7 to Sabo. Alright, for our 8th opening we have the Teach. I like to call it the Teach because I really like this opening versus Teach. And over here we have Teach playing 50, I bid 500 million. If you don't know what this card does, it's basically just a really strong trigger. And so, one of the reasons why I like this opening is because basically you play Roux and an L on your 4th on turn, and the thing is that Limb is actually not even better because we can't play Limb on our 2 on turn because they could have stock Q and proc to kill it and then to swing into the Limb. And so we would lose our Limb and they want to swing into life, and we really want to use a swing to life. And so they swing into life. And then on our turn we'd play Roux and then our null. And then we'd have 8 cards in hand. The other thing is that it's very unlikely that they would black hole us, and even if they did black hole us, that's like fine because we could very easily just play characters that don't actually have an on play, and then they would be at 4 cards if they play stage, and they'll be at 5 cards if they didn't play stage. And like tossing for early ability that early is like very crazy. So I mean, if they do that, then that is fine. But the key is that if they don't do that, then this will be the only turn that we can use on plays most likely. And so just the ability to have 8 cards in hand, and then which also helps us find our top knots and blast breaths, which are really good in this matchup. So and we also just want to see a lot of Odyssey bodies versus Blackbeard. So yeah. And on to the next opening. Alright, for our next opening we have the Senior Pink. This opening is focusing on Anel and Senior Pink and any 1 cost. We happen to have the Roux here, so we'll be using Roux. We have Bo over here playing 50 Luffys because she would only want to play Luffy. So and then we can't play Roux here because they could just swing into it. And so the main thing with this one is that we get to use an L to trash an event. It doesn't actually have to be this Malifaux event. We could also see any event because we know we're going to add it back next turn with Senior Pink. And then next turn we would make sure that we play Senior Pink first, just because if we don't, then we actually can't play senior pink in Odyssey, because otherwise we would have 4 Dawn left after we play the Odyssey. And so, and then we just play any Odyssey here. They really didn't have anything. We'd probably just swing with our NL first and then just Mihawk. And then the other thing also is that if we had another event, or if we have another event, we don't actually need to add back the Smile event. We can just add toss box both and add it back. Because we only really need this, or it would only be really good to add the Smile event back if we know for certain that we have another null, or that we want to play another null. Another thing is that we also don't need an event to use the senior pink event, or senior pink ability to gain back a Dawn. So if we just want to place down 2 5k bodies, because either we don't have Limb, or like 3 cost is very weak into a certain deck, we can just play senior pink and then play Odyssey, and that's pretty good tempo into a lot of decks. So this is the senior pink. It's a nice opening. So next up we have the Newgate. This one is featuring Lucci playing 3 cost brick, because they always see on 3 Dawn, and we're actually gonna play it. And then over here we're featuring Roux and Newgate. And the important thing is that if we played the 1 cost Limb here, then it would get rested, because they would try to kill it. It would rest and then they could attack into it. So even if we did have 1 cost Limb, we would play on a 4 Dawn turn. And honestly, I don't think it's necessarily bad to have 1 cost Limb. It's just that you don't really want to play on 2 Dawn, because it could get killed very easily by a brick. They're gonna play on 3 Dawn probably anyways. So they play the brick here. Do attack, but that doesn't really matter for this. And then play Roux, and then we would play our Newgate to kill the brick. And then this can be done versus like any good 3 costs that they can play at 3 Dawn, which is really strong, because there's a decent amount of 3 costs like Tashigi, Brick, Chopper that you really don't actually want there. And then this, you play a 5/6 body, and you're ramping, and you kill their 3 cost body. And what's really cool about this matchup too is that if they just play a 4 cost Kuzan or a 5 cost in their next turn, which I mean, besides Sabo, then you could kill it with Sakazuki if you see Sakazuki, which is also really nice, because and then also if they just play another one on their Brick or Rebecca, then you can kill it with Newgate again. And the other thing, Newgate is actually really good in this matchup, because if they Rebecca Brick, you can just rest the Rebecca and then kill the Brick, which is really strong. And the same thing with Hina. So yeah, that's the final opening that I'll be showing. And so if you have any questions about these openings, or like other options, please let me know. And we'll go on to the accelerated games. Alright, on to accelerated high ranked matches. So I'm doing 5 matches on 4 times speed, and my rating during these matches is 6,500 to 7,000. Basically, I just hopped on to ranked, and I said, I was just playing until I got 7,000 for this, and see what matches I would get. And yeah, these are just 5 matches in a row. As you'll see, I just go into queue again after each match. And yeah, I also have play names hidden, just as spec for other players, just because if for any reason that they wouldn't want their names to be seen. And yeah, I think I got 5 pretty good matches. Honestly, I got pretty lucky. Not because like I won, but like because they're good quality matches showing off some situations that Lim might have troubles with. Alright, so the first match is going first versus Shanks. I feel like this is a pretty good showing because a lot of people think that Lim into Shanks is like almost unwinnable, or very, very difficult. And like, I don't think it's that terrible. I also don't think Shanks is the worst matchup. But yeah, so a lot of things happen here. I'm not really going to do a play-by-play because it's going too fast, and that's not really what the goal is here. But if you do need to slow it down to like keep track of everything that's happening, or you miss something, feel free to just pause it and see what happened for the game state to get to where it is. But basically, they played 2 earlies. They played a Roux earlier too, which I shoveled back. But I kind of just played aggressive into them, shuffled their Roux kind of aggressively, and they were able to survive. And then we go second versus Shanks, which is even harder because I think obviously going second Lim is like one of the harder things to do. And I think some people believe that if you go second with Lim, you're just gonna have a tough time in the tournament if you just go second all day, which might be true, but I don't think that going second is as bad of a problem with this list, as long as you don't like open terrible. And so basically we just pressure them down, and then we get all of our characters active so they can't swing into us, and then we have enough life that we can just survive and then go for game next soon. We also stun their Dawn so they can't do any Shanks or gold D-Roger plays. But yeah, and then once again they're 2 low cards in hand for them to counter out there. Next, we get Dofi next. Yeah, we get Dofi, and we go first. And they recognize me from a video I made this week with Abster. Very Ireland video. And yeah, except for I can't actually see what their player name is, but I can see what it is through bounty. So and yeah, this is a very close match. The key with Dofi is that you just always want to make sure that Teach is not on the board, because if they get to their 8th Dawn or even 6th Dawn, where they can like 1000 weld you and then play one of their characters, or on their 8th Dawn they can gravity blade you and then still lose your ability. And so you just really want to make sure that Teach is on the board so they can't do those powerful plays. And so we try our best to make sure that Teach does not stay on the board. Yeah, and then they say they're getting cooked here, but like I was not trying to be too confident, because they still can hit a decent amount of triggers, and they still have cards like Gravity Blade, so we still have to be careful. And speaking of which, I was not very careful here, because I should have minus powered on the Weevil and tacked into the Weevil with Limb, but I was in the mindset of just doing that last with Leader, even though that was incorrect. And like the Mihawk would have still been gone, but we got 2 more cards out of hand if I did it that way. So yeah, and then here we're just playing for to go for game with Top Knot, and hoping he doesn't go for game and plays a Boa, because our hand was pretty bricked, even though because there's a Top Knot there, we actually would have survived. But if he did choose to go for game. And then next we have a mirror match. So yeah. And yeah, this is on 4x speed, even though might not seem like it at times. Goes. Yeah, we get the mirror. We get very lucky and get the first though. So if you get first in the mirror, you're kind of supposed to win. And there's only like a few cards that can really help you like gain advantage in the mirror to like get the win. One of those cards is like Gamma Knife, and Sakazuki is another good card in the mirror, but Gamma Knife is only like really good if they choose to play a high-end card, and then you can just minus 5,000 and then kill it, and then that's all they did that turn. But if they're playing low stuff like me, usually like Sakazuki is like your best bet to try, and then Blast Breath is also really good. I go for game there, but it's only because I feel like I'm pretty safe, so I feel like there's no reason not to just swing twice with Sabo, because it just gets the most cards at hand, so that I would be able to go for game next turn, and I feel like I would under pressure to lose. Get Usopp as our last game, but we go second, which is, I mean, Usopp really wants to go first, and Lim wants to go first, so I think a lot of people would consider this like not the best of matchups when you go second versus Usopp as Lim, but what we do is we Nami them so they can't actually have a strong 7-down play like they normally would, which is the reason why I really like Nami. Because yeah, she allows us to stop them or stop decks that have a particularly powerful Dawn play on the same turn that we know is gonna happen. Yeah, and then we just play double Dofi because we know that if we survive, we can definitely win next turn. And they really just need, if they had like a Kuros and a blocker, I think they had a chance, but they didn't have that. So, yeah. And they concede. And that is the final game. Alright, I just want to say thank you for watching my Lim deck profile / guide. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Let me know if you have any questions or like to see anything in the future. We know this was a bit of a long video, but I just want to try something different and see what anyone thought about some things that I did. Please let me know what you thought about them. And I plan to make a Marco video in the future, and I might even make more Lim videos depending on what people think. And we'll see. I also have a Twitch that is Weekmaster Flash as well, and I will be streaming on that in sometime in the future. Probably not too soon, but yeah, see you next time.